Oh no. I only put her in there because I was only giving thoughts. I already listened to the Nicki Minaj a while ago. You know what I'm saying? I was just gonna give some quick thoughts because like niggas think I hate Nicki Minaj. You feel me? But we gon' I mean, I guess I could get her out the way first, and then we can get to Cardi because I didn't listen to Cardi. I have not listened to Cardi yet, so we still got that. You feel me? Why would I listen to it without you? Because I already knew what type of timing it was gonna be on. Like I already had my mind kind of made up. I'm not a Nicki Minaj fan. I try my best to give her a chance. I do acknowledge her as like the queen of hip hop and all that. All the doors that she's opened, not just for women rappers, but for rap period. We wouldn't be in a lot of conversations without Nicki Minaj. Okay, so give it up for Auntie one time. Give it up for Auntie one time. Just based off of the talent and the generational wealth and hits that she's already released over the past decade and a half, and plus a little bit more, you know, you got to give her flowers for that at the very least. Slow clap, fast clap, ass clap, whatever you want to do. But you know, I'm not really a fan of her music like that for real. She gonna get you? I don't think so. If I was a Barb, I would admit it proudly. She do got some songs. I really got like maybe 3 out of her entire discography that I really like or I'll listen to. But outside of that, generally speaking, I'm not a Nicki Minaj fan. I could try my best, but it's just not happening. Yeah, the new album Pink Friday. As you know, I wasn't a big fan of Queen when it dropped. I had a lot of issues with the way it sounded, its direction. The meltdown obviously contributed to a lack of wanting to go back to the album as well. But all in all, I just felt like the music that the mainstream has been putting out isn't representative of like what you would expect from the stature that they've been able to maintain throughout the last decade or so. Like, this isn't music that I think represents the top of the top, the upper echelon of all that, you know, women rap has to offer, or rap period. You feel what I'm saying? As soon as I get into the album, I'm greeted with some records and some songs that I think are a little airy. You know, they're a little kind of misty. They're kind of like really spacey, you know, and for her to come back with this album, I would have expected her to go gas, you know, pedal to the metal, coming at people neck on the first track. But on the first track, we get something like this, you know, and that's cool. And immediately I was just like, yeah, this the Billy song. I don't know if it's the Billy song or not, you know. I turned it on and I was like, I don't know what I'm listening to. Not the worst thing I ever heard in my life, but it's not an interesting way to be reintroduced to Nicki Minaj, who I acknowledge is like the queen of hip hop. You feel me? I mean, I guess. Then you get Barbie Dangerous, and I was just immediately, I wanted to turn the album off. I wanted to turn the album off when I heard Barbie Dangerous because you don't understand. I was just in the car with my sister like earlier this week, and randomly we landed on Notorious Thugs and turned that shit all the way up. Niggas was singing the whole ride. I'm like, oh shit, this fire. Like we really need to go back to this era. So hearing this was just insulting. I'm gonna be honest with you. Hearing this was just insulting. And I really wanted to delete the whole thing from the hard drive, go up to Apple headquarters and make them take the album off streaming completely after I heard this one record right here. I just felt disrespected. I did. You are over, you ain't in range of us, 'cause I wouldn't. We get FTCU. She was kind of getting me for a cool little minute. And so generally speaking, I don't have a problem with sampling, but I think sampling is too prominent on this album for it to be as uncreative as it generally is. You know, anytime I'm listening to a sample, it just makes me want to go listen to the original, or makes me upset that she attempted the sample in a way that I don't feel like is creative enough to justify it on this album. It's like she's basically just taking the song and rapping over it with no different interpretation, no difference in her take on it. It's just copy paste and let me rap on it or sing on it. I noticed this. There were 3 tracks, I think, or 4 back to back to back that were nothing but samples. And the tracks on this album that to me are original, I just don't feel like I'm interested in her rapping for real. You know, it's unfortunate too, because like I said, I respect Nicki Minaj. I do. It's just I'm given no reason to listen to the new music that ends up getting released. I think Beat Beat was a song that I was kind of like, all right, this is cool. This is cool. And I'm like, all right, this is the one track on here that I think you could actually run for a little bit, and it's just a minute. The next track we got J. Cole on one of these, which I also kind of enjoy. I like him rapping from different perspectives. He's kind of like a mediator. He's kind of rapping from the perspective of someone who doesn't want the man and the woman fighting. He also even gives advice to the husband on Let Me Calm Down. So I do like J. Cole's verse on Let Me Calm Down. Outside of that, though, I don't really see a reason to go back to it. I get if you're a hardcore Nicki Minaj fan, but for me personally, I'm going to just like listen to this track once and then keep going. The Lil Wayne and Tate track, just not a fan of R&B from rappers, generally speaking. I don't know if it's just a thing for me, but generally I don't think they do it well. I think she raps decent. I don't think she's anything above mediocre when it comes to R&B or rapping romantically. Just my personal opinion. You could disagree, completely fine. Then we got the track with Drake, which, I mean, I could let it speak for itself. This is a laughable track at best to me. What makes you think you could? I'm sorry, I can't do it. It's just not my style. It sounds cringe when you could have just gotten literally almost anybody else to play that part, and then you grab Drake. I just don't think that that's the appropriate move. I don't.
Not saying women in hip-hop is gonna die out, but what's the future like in 10 years time? Will there be anyone bigger or on par with Nicki tenure?
I don't know if it's about being on par. You would like there to be like a woman megastar in rap, but the standards that Nicki Minaj has reached, even by like male rap standards, are tough. You know, most male rappers won't achieve the success that Nicki Minaj has. So making that like the standard for like all women when it's like even more difficult. I mean, I'm not saying it's more difficult, but even when it's like incredibly challenging for men to get that type of fame, the type of fame that Nicki Minaj has, like, I don't think anybody's probably going to get to that point, you know? But there are women that are making hip-hop music right now that are extremely creative in a completely different lane than Nicki Minaj. I don't think Nicki Minaj should be like the face of quote-unquote women rap or nothing like that. She shouldn't be like the representative for all that it has to offer, especially her being a mainstream act. You're not getting the best that hip-hop has to offer from anything in the mainstream, generally speaking. So this shouldn't be like the representative for it. But Needle is kind of just like another example of how you could take from something without necessarily referencing the best parts of it, which is what I feel like she tried to do by getting Drake to feature when she could have gotten literally almost anybody else. Cowgirl, laughably bad. Next track after that was Everybody with Lil Uzi Vert. I actually really liked the way this song was starting off, and I was excited for Uzi's contribution to it. I just didn't feel like Nicki did enough with the song itself, but it started off great. I was really into it at first. Because she was doing well, even though I would have liked her to do a little bit more. She didn't ruin it. Uzi kind of came in and kind of shifted the vibe. But this is also the only track on this album so far that I got downloaded, so I think it's a success just for that. And then that's where the downhill spiral came. Even though we were kind of already on a downhill slope a little bit, we get these samples that are kind of going crazy. Well, why are we sampling Lumity? I don't know. Another example of her just kind of jumping on it, not doing nothing with it. I just think it's so cheap. And if you thought one sample was bad enough, then let's go to the next track where... Let's go to the next track. She's alright. It's like back to fucking back to fucking back to fucking back. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do with this, dog? I can't do nothing with this. I just link me to the original. I'm not saying you can't like Super Freak, because I mean it is what it is if that's what you like. But I just don't want to hear it in 2023 as a quote unquote new song. That's really it. You know, this just takes me out of the vibe. Everything, y'all be telling a lie. And I just like when it's tracks like that, I don't think that song is bad. I'm just like, you know, and since I'm not a Nicki fan, like that's not gonna be tailor made to me. I think her flow is super original though. That's kind of like one of her signature styles. It's just not a song for me. You feel me? That's really what it is. No, sure. I don't think it's bad though. We got Nikki Hendrix that got Future on it. I don't think I like this track like that, but it wasn't just because of her. I don't think Future really gave that strong of a verse either. It was what it was. Blessings with Tasha, I thought was a more like gospel oriented kind of like, you know, mature track. Like I was hearing this track and I'm like, damn, like you really could have got Pink Pantheress on something like this. But I hear like the inspiration of where she was trying to go with it, you know. OMG, Pink Pantheress invented bubbly pop now. You just saying shit. I'm not the one that said that. You just said that. Even if Pink didn't create that genre, she definitely put it in the limelight. Some artists tend to follow trends. I mean, I don't have to explain that though. You know, it's kind of go without saying. I hear what you saying though, but like, I don't know where this narrative, like, because you say there's someone that's probably drawn influence from this, meaning that they created it. I don't know where this comes from, but I didn't say it. And then the last track is Just the Memories. I'm not really a big fan of the flow of this song. I'm not. But Just the Memories I thought was a cool little wrap-up track, kind of talking about her backstory. I thought it was kind of introspective. I thought it was pretty revealing. I am not a fan of the way this track flows or carries on. That's usually my biggest issue when it comes to this, like, attaching myself to Nicki Minaj and what she's saying. But this was a good track, you know. Can't say nothing more about it than that. Overall, wasn't a fan of the album. I definitely came away from this album with a couple more tracks from Nicki Minaj than I usually would, but the same goes for when I heard Queen. It's just a lot of stuff on here that I'm just not a fan of. And this album is probably the overuse of samples and, you know, just the way these tracks carry on a lot of the time. And the fact that I'm not a Nicki Minaj fan in general, you feel me? Which one was worse, this one or Queen? Definitely Queen. Queen is significantly worse than this album. If you are a fan of, like, samples and whatnot, I don't see a reason why you wouldn't like this. If you're a fan of, like, interpolations, if you're a fan of, like, it's pretty versatile. I don't think it's like that great, but it's versatile at the very least. You're gonna get a lot of different styles. Didn't answer what question?
I ain't gonna lie, Sean, I ain't saying you're a Nicki hater cause you're like this to a lot of OG rappers, but it's like you're dense and can't get hard anymore to new music from them, like you lose D feeling or something.
That is the worst typo of all time. I'm sorry. Hold on, let me go back. I'm trying to go back. Hold on. But it's like you're dense and can't get hard anymore to new music from them, like you lose D feeling or something. Okay, this isn't. Even if there wasn't a typo in that, what you said was still fucking insane. But you aren't wrong in that I'm incredibly desensitized to a lot of what is coming from the mainstream, because they have access to everything under the sun to make incredible music, but they don't. Like, the best of the best music or the most creative shit is coming from niggas that don't even have the resources to push the genres in the areas that they make music in forward. Meanwhile, these people are the same ones that take from those trends to make their music, and it still ends up mediocre most of the time. When I hear it and I'm disappointed, I'm not even really mad. I'm just kind of like, y'all do this all the time. They get popping. They're huge artists, all the resources in the world, all the connections in the world, and this is the album that you come up with. Yeah, I'm not getting hard to that. I'm not aroused musically, creatively, thoughtfully. None of that happens to me when I'm listening to this type of music. So it's unfortunate. Even though they can do it, they don't. It is what it is.